First story. My younger son's wife cheated with my older son. I accepted their remarriage and told my younger son to move on and accept his wife now as his sil. My ungrateful younger son sulked and didn't reconcile. I have played his game for 12 years now, forced him to reconcile with his brother and sil on my birthday, and thought it would be a celebration, but it turned into a disaster. Now I'm regretting my actions. Throwaway. Apologies if this gets long, but the situation has spanned over a decade, and I'm trying to explain it clearly. I 60F have two sons, Jack 35M and Sam 37M. 12 years ago, my daughter-in-law at the time, Lee 34F, left Jack. A few months later, she and Sam announced they were dating. This absolutely blew our family apart. According to Jack, they had been cheating behind his back for at least a year before the split. He says there were late-night texts, weird behavior, and moments that made him feel crazy, like when Lee would go out with friends and Sam wouldn't pick up the phone on those same nights. Jack confronted Lee a few times, but she denied everything. When the relationship between Lee and Sam became public, Jack saw that as proof he had been gaslit the whole time. He completely broke down. I'd never seen him that angry or hopeless. Sam, on the other hand, has always insisted there was no actual cheating. He admitted that he and Lee had grown close, that they bonded emotionally while Jack and Lee's marriage was crumbling, but he swore they didn't cross any physical lines until after the divorce papers were filed. He never denied that he had feelings for her, and I'll be honest, his admission that he had fallen for her before it was appropriate was hard to hear. But when we asked Lee directly, she just wouldn't say anything. She didn't defend herself or deny it. She just stared off like she wasn't interested in clearing anything up. At the time, my husband and I were stunned. We didn't know who to believe. But Sam was our son too, and something in how he explained it made me believe that, while emotional boundaries were crossed, there hadn't been an outright affair. Maybe I didn't want to believe that one son could do that to the other. Or maybe I didn't want to lose both of them. Either way, I told Jack I believed Sam hadn't physically cheated, and that's when things really got bad. Jack went no contact with Sam immediately. He moved out of state for a while, cut ties with several family members who stayed neutral, and pretty much made it clear that if we maintained any relationship with Sam, we were betraying him. We tried to support him in other ways. We didn't go to Sam and Lee's wedding 2 years later, didn't help pay for it like we had originally offered when he was engaged to someone else, and told Sam clearly we were disappointed. We tried to show Jack we were in his corner without completely disowning Sam. For the first couple of years, things were tense. Sam and I barely spoke. I didn't invite him to any holidays if there was a chance Jack would come. I tried to do what I thought was fair. Holidays alternated, family events were split, and birthdays were done separately for the grandkids. I tried everything to keep both sons in my life without forcing them to be in the same room. But nothing was ever enough for Jack. He was furious that we didn't cut Sam off completely. He called it a betrayal. Even though I've never once asked him to speak to Sam or be in the same place, he still acts like we chose one son over the other. And maybe we did, in his eyes, by not choosing him exclusively. Over the years, Sam and Lee had kids. Jack also got remarried and now has children of his own. The cousins have never met. Jack made it clear from day one that his kids would never be around those people. When we tried to talk to him about it once very gently, he shut it down fast and said we had no right to ask, and that this was the consequence of not backing the right horse. There have been many small incidents over the years. One time, I posted a photo of all my grandkids on the fridge, 2 from Jack, 2 from Sam, and Jack noticed it during a visit. He left the house immediately and didn't speak to us for 3 months. Another time, we accidentally mentioned that Sam had gotten a promotion at work, and Jack just got up and walked out of a family dinner. I've learned not to bring Sam up at all, but I won't pretend it's been easy. My husband and I have spent over a decade doing emotional gymnastics just to avoid upsetting either son. We've thrown double birthday parties for ourselves, lied to both about which other family members are visiting, and had to pretend we don't go to Sam's house for Christmas if Jack asks. It's exhausting. We are always walking around the fallout of someone else's decisions. And now, I'm about to turn 60. We're planning a large family gathering, bigger than usual, with relatives flying in from out of state. I know it's just a number, but it feels like a milestone. And maybe this is selfish, but I want something for myself this year. I told both my sons that what I really wanted, as a birthday gift, was for them to sit down together just once and talk. Not a fake piece for the cameras. A real conversation. Maybe not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. I told them I'm not expecting them to hug it out or become best friends. I know too much damage has been done. But I don't want to die without seeing my sons in the same room again. Not just coexisting, but actually speaking. I explained that I wanted to see my whole family together, just for one evening. I told them this wasn't about Sam or Jack. It was about me, their mother, who's been caught in the crossfire for over a decade. Sam was surprised. He asked if I was sure this was what I wanted. I said yes. He agreed to come and said he'd do his best to keep it respectful. He even offered to apologize to Jack, not necessarily for the relationship, but for how everything went down. He said he'd be open to any form of contact, even if it was just one conversation. Jack, on the other hand, didn't take it well. He immediately said no. Not maybe, not I'll think about it. Just absolutely not. He told me I was being manipulative by using my birthday to guilt him into forgiving a backstabber. I tried to reason with him. I reminded him that I've never pressured him before, that I've done everything he's ever asked, that I'm only asking this once for me. He said that if Sam is coming, he's not. I said I wouldn't uninvite Sam, because he had agreed and was willing to talk. Jack told me I was choosing the sinner over the victim, that I was rewarding betrayal. And I snapped. I told him, fine, don't come. If you can't do this one thing for me, after everything we've done for you, then maybe you don't care about me as much as you say. He hung up after I said that. My husband told me I was too harsh, that I shouldn't have pushed it that far. He understands where I'm coming from, but he still thinks we should have found a way to keep Jack from feeling cornered. I told him I'm tired of always being the one bending. I've spent 12 years splitting everything down the middle, keeping tabs on every detail just to avoid setting Jack off. And it's still not enough. Now Jack's not speaking to me. He texted once after the call, said I'd finally shown my true colors, that I never really took his side, and I've been pretending for years. He ended it with, hope Sam's worth losing your real son over. I haven't answered. I've tried to explain my side to family. My sister thinks Jack needs to grow up. One of my cousins said they don't blame him for being hurt, but it's been too long to keep bleeding out over the same wound. Others are just uncomfortable, they don't want to be dragged into it, and I get that. I gave Jack everything I could. After the divorce, we paid for therapy. I flew out to see him monthly for a year. I canceled 2 vacations to babysit when he had custody of the kids and couldn't find coverage. We changed traditions, skipped celebrations, and kept Sam and Lee away from anything Jack might attend. He said jump, and we did. But I wouldn't disown Sam. That's where the line was. I couldn't cut off one child completely just because the other demanded it. Sam was wrong. He admitted it. Maybe not in the way Jack wanted, but he has taken responsibility for how things started. And I believed him when he said nothing physical happened before the marriage ended. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I believed what was easiest to survive. Lee's silence never helped. She never defended herself. Never apologized to Jack. Never denied his version, either. It's like she washed her hands of the whole thing and left the mess behind. I'll never understand how she could stay so quiet. I think deep down, Jack expected her to pick a side too, to at least confirm he wasn't crazy. She never did. But this wasn't about Lee anymore. This was about 2 grown men who haven't shared air in 12 years, because one of them won't hear a word that doesn't line up with the story in his head. Jack says Sam is a liar. Sam says Jack refuses to believe anything outside his anger. Neither one will budge, and I'm stuck in the middle. Now I'm 6 weeks from a birthday I was excited for, and instead of looking forward to it, I'm already regretting it. Jack won't come. His wife hasn't said a word to me. My grandkids on that side won't be there. Sam's kids, who've never met their cousins, are asking questions I don't know how to answer. I've spent years pretending we're a normal family to everyone else. That's done now. I keep thinking back to something Jack said years ago. It was right after we told him we wouldn't take down the family photos that included Sam and Lee. He said, every time I walk into your house, I feel like I don't matter. I tried to tell him those were my grandchildren, too. That I couldn't erase them. But I've never forgotten that. I wonder now if that was the moment he decided I wasn't really in his corner. But what else was I supposed to do? I was trying to be a mother to both my sons. One who felt betrayed, and one who made a mess out of his own choices, but didn't deserve to be abandoned completely. I'm aware this might cost me more than just a party. Jack has pulled away before, but this feels deeper. He might be done for good this time. I want to believe he'll come around eventually. That maybe when he calms down, he'll see that I wasn't trying to pick a favorite. I was trying to stop the bleeding. But right now, he's made it clear. If I want Sam in my life, I don't get him. So, Reddit, AITA for finally asking my son to forgive his brother and telling him not to come if he couldn't. Comments. Comment 1. You should have stopped trying to stay neutral the second your older son admitted he had feelings for his brother's wife while they were still married. That wasn't just some timing issue, that's a full-on betrayal of trust. Whether they slept together or not, he crossed a line. And Lee, staying silent for 12 years, she knew the truth. Her silence was a choice, and it let Sam skate by while Jack was left screaming into the void. What Jack needed wasn't therapy paid for or holidays rearranged. He needed someone in the family to say, "You're right. What happened was effed up." But you tiptoed around it because Sam made his life look tidy again. Marriage, kids, clean image. It was easier to believe him. Now you're asking Jack to break bread with a guy who burned his house down for your birthday. After 12 years of pretending peace was more important than truth. I get that you're tired. I get wanting both sons at your table. But asking Jack to pretend it never happened just because you're turning 60 feels like a final slap in the face. Comment 2. YTA. You're asking your son to fake smile next to the two people who lit his life on fire. And for what? A nice picture and cake. I get that it's your 60th, and I'm not saying you don't deserve a good birthday. But asking Jack to suddenly drop 12 years of pain because you want a family moment is tone deaf. Jack didn't ruin this family, Sam and Lee did. And they got away with it. You talk about Jack like he's stubborn and bitter. But he's reacting exactly how someone who got betrayed by his brother and wife would react. Meanwhile, Sam shows up with a clean shirt and a weak arse apology. And suddenly, he's the bigger person. You want Jack to make peace, but only because the other side's willing to pretend nothing happened. That's not reconciliation. That's pressure. If you cared equally, you'd stop acting like Jack's the roadblock and start holding Sam accountable for the mess he caused. But you won't, because Sam's making things easy now. Jack isn't. That's what this boils down to. Comment 3. YTA. Not for wanting your sons to get along, but for dressing it up like a gift when it's really just an emotional trap. You're not asking for a nice dinner, you're asking Jack to forgive the two people who destroyed his marriage, because it would make you feel better about where your family stands. And yeah, Sam absolutely cheated. Maybe not physically, though I doubt that, but emotionally, fully in. And Lee, silent for over a decade because she knows the truth would burn the last bridge she's still standing on. You chose to believe the story that made things easier for you, not the one that made sense to the person who got left behind. Sam offered to come later. That was the out. You didn't take it because you wanted the picture, the fantasy moment. But real life doesn't work like that. Jack's been telling you for years that he's done, and you keep hoping if you just ask one more time, he'll fold. He didn't. And now you've basically told him that if he won't play along, he can stay gone. If you lose him over this, it won't be because he's petty. It'll be because you stopped listening years ago. Comment 4. Time doesn't make betrayal shrink. Like, just because it happened over a decade ago, Jack should be over it. His brother and wife teamed up behind his back, then expected him to accept a new family setup like it's just awkward Thanksgiving drama. That's not awkward. That's lifelong, scorched earth. Trust is dead kind of SHT. Also, Sam offering to apologize for how it went down, but not for what went down. That's not accountability. That's cleanup. He knows what he did, and he still can't call it what it was. And Lee? She left a crater and then vanished from responsibility. This birthday party was your breaking point, and I don't fault you for finally saying what's been building. But let's not pretend this came from nowhere. You believed the version of the story that caused the least damage to your family structure. Jack's never stopped living in the wreckage. Sam got the house. Jack's still standing in the rubble. Update. The last few weeks have been a disaster, and apparently, everyone in the extended family has picked a side. Since people are speculating wildly, even those who weren't there, I'll tell you what actually happened. First, to the people saying I should resent Sam forever, you're ridiculous. It's been 12 years. I've had plenty of time to be angry, to say what I needed to say to him, and to process it in my own way. I don't forgive what happened. I'm not asking Jack to forgive either. I never said that. What I wanted was one evening, one meal, one decent photo of my family in the same space before I'm too old to pull something like this together again. That's it. Jack refused. Sam agreed. Sam even said he'd be respectful and quiet. I told Jack that if he couldn't do this, then not to come at all. And I meant it. What I didn't expect was how fast things would unravel once I put my foot down. It started after my original post. I reached out to Jack's wife, Emily. I wanted to clear the air. I asked her, woman to woman, If she thought it was really fair that Jack kept holding on to this hatred. I may have said something along the lines of, "Are you sure Jack's not still clinging to his ex emotionally?" And yes, I regret that part. But I was frustrated. She got extremely defensive and accused me of implying she wasn't enough for him. I tried to explain myself, but she told me to never contact her privately again. That set the tone. Despite all of that, Jack showed up to the party after all about 10 minutes before Sam and Lee arrived. I was shocked, but honestly relieved. I thought maybe he had changed his mind. I kept them apart at first. But during dinner, Sam approached him. He just said, "Can we talk?" He wasn't aggressive, just quiet, like he really wanted to bury the hatchet. Jack stood up and said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, "Talk. What is there to say to the two homewreckers who blew up my life?" Everyone stopped eating. Lee looked like she'd been slapped. Sam didn't say anything, just stepped back, but Lee fired back immediately. She said, "Maybe if you weren't such a SHTTY husband, I wouldn't have wanted out." It was the first time I've ever heard her say anything about the divorce directly. She went on. She said he was emotionally dead in the marriage, always passive, never noticed her pulling away, and that she felt like a stranger in her own home, and Sam made her feel like a person again. She said, "You keep dragging this around like a dead dog no one wants to bury. That's your problem, not mine." Jack grabbed his kids and Emily and left. He didn't say another word to anyone. I followed them to the driveway. He wouldn't even look at me. Emily told me I got what I wanted, and now I could enjoy my perfect family without the burden of the truth. Then she slammed the car door, and they were gone. The party fell apart after that. Sam and Lee left not long after. A few family members tried to keep the night going, but the tension was thick. It was a disaster. I didn't even open the wine. The pictures I'd hoped to take never happened. Just wasted food, wasted money, and a pit in my stomach. The next day, I sent a cake to Jack's kids. I also included a card, just a nice message saying I missed them and hoped they were doing well. That's all. It wasn't a dig. It wasn't about taking sides. Jack never responded. Nothing from Emily either. A week later, I showed up at one of their son's soccer games. I wasn't there to cause trouble, I just wanted to be present in their lives, even if I had to sit in the back and watch quietly. Emily saw me from across the field. She walked over and told me, in front of a group of other parents, to leave them alone. She said I don't get to use the grandkids as consolation prizes for the son I lost. I went home crying. I told my husband I was done. I wanted peace in my old age. I'm tired of fighting with everyone just to feel like I still have a family. I raised two sons who hate each other, and now one of them clearly hates me too. I told my husband I wanted us to have one clear record, something that explained what happened and who stood where. So I asked him to sit down with me and write out our will. In it, I included a letter, just a short one, saying I never stopped loving either of them, and that I wished Jack could have found it in his heart to let go. My husband refused to sign it at first. Said it was too much, that it made us look bitter. I told him I didn't care how it looked. I needed it to be said. That turned into another fight. He blames me for how everything ended. Says I escalated it. That if I hadn't pushed Jack the way I did, he might have still been around. I asked him if he seriously thinks Sam deserved to be cut off forever. He said no, but Jack deserved to be believed. That hit hard. To make matters worse, the family has been buzzing ever since the party. People are gossiping. Some blame Jack, some blame Sam, and some blame me. But the part that's really hurt is how many people have gone silent completely, like they just want to back away from the blast zone and pretend they weren't ever involved. I've barely gotten a single call in days. I've been told not to reach out anymore. That the ball is in Jack's court. But how long do you wait before admitting the game's over? I keep thinking about my grandkids on both sides. They're growing up not knowing each other, not spending holidays together, not forming memories like real cousins. All because one man won't move on. I'm not saying he has to forgive. I never demanded that. But I can't ignore how this is hurting the next generation. And the fact that I'm being punished for pointing that out, it feels cruel. I've been sitting with all this, and no, I don't feel guilty. Maybe that makes me cold. Maybe it makes me the arsey hole, like you all love to say. But I don't believe I was wrong for wanting my family together. I still don't. This wasn't about picking Sam over Jack. It was about not erasing Sam from the family forever to keep the peace. I won't do that. I can't. I'm old. I want to sit in a living room where all my grandchildren know each other's names. That's not a wild thing to ask for. That's not selfish. But fine. Jack's made his decision. No more calls. No more cards. No more trying. My husband's angry. The house is tense. The only topic for the past few weeks has been me and my sons. I told him I'm done. We'll move forward with whoever wants to be part of the family and leave the rest behind. Comments. Comment 1. You pushed. That's what did it. You pushed, and then you blamed him for breaking. You've had 12 years to listen. Instead, you've spent those years trying to fix Jack, not support him, not understand him, but push him towards the version of the story that lets you keep both sons. Sam gave you less grief, so of course you lent that way. Easier access to his kids. No drama when you mention holidays. That kind of compliance gets rewarded in families like yours. Lee saying that SHT in front of everyone. That wasn't just mean. That was her unloading 12 years of resentment she didn't have the guts to say privately. And you let it happen. Sam did nothing to stop it. You let your younger son be humiliated, and then expected him to stay for dessert. I don't blame Jack for cutting you off. I'd have done it years ago. You burned the last bridge when you wrote him into your will as a cautionary tale. Comment 2. You bring your age like it's a hall pass. I'm old, I just want peace. So what? Jack lost 12 years of peace the second his wife crawled into your other son's bed. Where was that energy then? You framed this whole thing like you're exhausted, like you've done all you can. But reading between the lines, you haven't stopped meddling. You weren't asking for peace. You were demanding resolution. Real peace would have been leaving Jack alone and respecting his silence. Instead, you brought chaos to your own party, then acted shocked when someone finally blew up. And stopped pretending the grandkids are the reason you're hurt. You're hurt because Jack didn't perform forgiveness for the family album. You didn't even consider that maybe he wanted to protect his kids from seeing a grandfather who co-signed betrayal. That cake? That card? That surprise appearance at the soccer field? You turned yourself into the martyr and expected everyone else to applaud. It's been 12 years, and you've learned nothing. Comment 3. This was never about healing. This was about legacy. You wanted a party where both sons showed up so you could prove to yourself and everyone watching that your family wasn't broken beyond repair. But it is. And instead of sitting with that, you turned Jack into the holdout, the obstacle, the one ruining your vision. You never processed what happened. You just repackaged it into something manageable. It's been 12 years means nothing when you've done zero real repair work with a son who got betrayed. You believed Sam because it was easier. You kept photos up because they were your grandkids. Fine. But pretending that wasn't a statement of where your loyalties sat. Come on. Then you let Lee publicly torch Jack's character in front of the whole family. You called it just words in the heat of the moment. But they stuck. And now you're shocked that he walked. He gave you a decade to prove you'd protect him. You showed him, over and over, that image mattered more than his pain. Update. Things got worse. I didn't think that was possible. But here we are. If you thought I was wrong before, you'll probably double down now, and frankly, I don't care anymore. I've lost too much in trying to make things right, and I've been punished at every turn. After the birthday fallout, Lee, Sam's wife, Jack's ex, told me she was considering legal action over what Jack said at the party. If you read the last update, you know Jack called them homewreckers in front of everyone. It was loud. It was public. It was angry. I thought it was emotional and ugly, but honestly, it was how he'd felt for over a decade. Nothing new. Everyone knew he thought that. He just finally said it out loud. At first, I didn't take Lee seriously. She talks big when she's angry. But then Sam told me she had actually contacted a lawyer. She was claiming Jack had slandered her in front of an audience, said it was defamation, and that she wanted to draw the line. Sam wasn't backing her. He said she was going too far. I agreed. Even I, after everything, told her this was too much. She said we were both enabling a smear campaign by not stopping him or demanding an apology. I reminded her that she once said Jack was emotionally dead, and I hadn't kicked her out for that. She didn't take that well, and I made it worse. I told her, "You don't have the right to be this furious when you're the one who tore everything apart. You married his brother. You cheated or came close to it. He has every reason to be angry. You don't get to rewrite that." I said it fast, in a moment of pure exhaustion. I thought saying what we were all thinking might bring her back down. Instead, she told me to get out of her house. That she was done pretending I was neutral. That I'd always secretly sided with Jack. She told me I was never welcome around her kids again. So that was it. First Jack cut me out. Now Lee. Sam hasn't said anything. Not in the moment, not after. He didn't stop her from cutting me off. But he didn't defend her either. He just sat there. My husband was furious. Not at them, at me. He said this entire thing has been one slow collapse, and I've only added to it. I told him I was trying to stop a lawsuit from blowing the last remaining bridge we had. He said it was never my job to fix this, and that I've spent 12 years stirring every pot to keep myself at the center of it. He said he's tired of living in a house where every phone call is damage control and every conversation is about what one son said about the other. He left 2 days later. He went to stay with his brother. A week after that, he filed for separation. He said he needed space from the noise. After nearly 40 years, it gets worse. I tried reaching out to Jack's old pastor. He's someone who knows our family history, knew both boys growing up, and had helped us with counseling before. I figured maybe a third party could help bring Jack back to the table, if not for reconciliation, then at least to stop this generational disaster from continuing. I was calm, polite, and honest about what was going on. He said no. He told me Jack had already been through too much, and that forcing peace was only going to cause more hurt. I asked how I was supposed to just do nothing. He said maybe doing nothing was the only way left to show love. I left that call shaking. I won't pretend I handled it well. I told him, thanks for absolutely nothing, and hung up. I don't regret it. Lee's lawsuit was dismissed. Her lawyer told her it didn't meet the bar. Jack's words were opinion, not slander. There was no lasting damage. Lee blamed me. Said my interference made her look petty, like she wasn't really hurt. She thinks I undermined her by siding with Jack too openly. She's cut me out completely. No pictures, no updates, no birthdays. I haven't seen Sam and Lee's kids since. I didn't even get to send a card for my youngest granddaughter's birthday, the one who always used to sit on my lap and draw on my arms with markers. Gone. No warning. Sam still hasn't said anything. No messages. No visits. I tried to apologize not because I thought I was wrong for speaking the truth, but because I wanted to fix the silence. Lee never responded. Then, a week ago, I went back through old photos and put together a collage of the grandkids. All of them. Jack's 2, Sam's 3. I posted it on Facebook with a caption. Maybe someday they'll all grow up together if they're allowed. Yes, I knew what I was doing. I don't deny that. It was mean. It was pointed. But it was also the truth. These kids are being raised in completely separate worlds over decisions they had no part in. Jack's wife saw the post, I know, because my sister called me an hour later and said, "You just lit the final match." Jack blocked us both. My husband, or ex, I guess, told me I'd made sure the door was shut for good. I've been accused of playing games, of guilting people, of forcing reunions for my own ego. Maybe I did want the photo, the holiday, the illusion of something mended. But I never wanted this silence from both sons, being banned from both sets of grandkids, sitting alone in a house that used to hold everything I loved. I tried to fix this. I have tried. My ways weren't always right, but they came from grief. From watching my family come undone and feeling helpless while it happened. I want the old arrangement back. Holidays split. Quiet contact. Not this complete blackout where no one speaks and the only updates I get are from people brave enough to risk taking sides. I'd give anything to just go back to when I saw the grandkids separately and didn't try to make peace. It wasn't enough, but at least I still had them. Now, nothing. People keep telling me to let go, to move on. But what does that even mean when the people you love won't let you back in? I didn't break this family. I didn't cheat. I didn't walk away. I stayed. I hosted. I held space. I hoped. But no one cares about that part. All they see is the last mistake. So yeah, maybe I'm the RC hole. But I'm also a mother. And no one tells you what to do when the worst thing isn't a betrayal, it's being erased. Comments. Comment 1. You didn't break this family. Sure, you didn't cheat. You didn't blow up a marriage. But you made damn sure to keep those pieces scattered. You weren't just the person watching it all fall apart. You were the one cataloging the damage, labeling it, and then repackaging it into whatever worked best for your image of a functional family. That Facebook post, don't act like that was grief. That was a jab, wrapped in nostalgia, aimed straight at Jack's kids. You're trying to weaponize what they're missing without once owning your part in why they're missing it. You say you stayed, hosted, and held space, yeah, and the whole time you were measuring who was the more convenient son to keep around. Sam gave you easy access. Jack gave you pushback. We both know which one you chose. Comment 2. Your whole arc has been chasing this fake happy ending where everyone just gets over it. And when it didn't work, you turned bitter. You never had Jack's back when it counted. You didn't stand up for him when his ex married his brother. You stood back, then let Lee rewrite the whole thing like Jack was the problem. And you smiled through it because at least Sam was still showing up with the kids. Then when things finally snapped years too late, you acted surprised. But this was always coming. Lee was never going to stay quiet forever. Jack was never going to forgive just to make your timeline work. And Sam, he's a bystander in his own mess, probably because he knows deep down he got off easy and can't face it. Now you're sitting in the wreckage trying to repaint yourself as the one left behind. But you weren't left. You just kept choosing the easier path. And eventually, the people who were bleeding stopped walking it with you. Comment 3. The part that gets me is how you keep acting like silence is the real punishment. Like that's the thing that hurts the most. Not the betrayal, not the rewriting of history, not watching the people who hurt you build a new life and get applause for moving on. You had 2 kids. One got steamrollered, the other got invited to dinner. You can say you never chose, but silence around Sam and Lee's choices was a choice. And then when everything finally came to a head, you turned into the victim again. Posted pictures, made pointed captions, blamed a pastor, burned every remaining bridge. Also, you didn't have to sit still and feel the consequences of 12 years of avoidance. People cut you out because they're tired. Not unforgiving, not cold, just tired of carrying what you keep dumping at their feet and calling love. Second story. I'm moving with my fiancé, and my sister and parents refuse to let my cat move with me, claiming my cat can't adjust to losing them. But he is my gift. Hi, this issue has led to fights in my house the past week, and at this point, I thought I'd ask here. I'm going to get married in a few months and currently live with my parents. 6 years ago, my aunt had gifted me my cat for my 18th when he was a kitten. She knew I loved cats. I'd always wanted one, so that was her gift, and it was the best gift I've ever received. I was the one who organized his diet, litter trained him, named him Casper, got him to respond to his name, had him snuggle with me, had huge arguments with my parents in the initial days over him, and defended him. Over time, Casper became an integral part of our family. Last week, we were just planning on how to start moving my stuff to my fiancé's place, and I also brought up his cat tree. My younger sister was like, "Why would you take his cat tree?" "You're not taking Casper." I said, "Of course I am. He's my cat, and my fiancé loves cats too." I'd already discussed this with him. My parents too were against taking him, and my sister started sobbing. I was beside myself, and we had an argument. I told them Casper was a gift for me. I had raised him when he was a kitten, and I brought up to my parents how they used to say he was too much work and a mess in the earlier days. Since then, whenever the topic has been brought up, my sister gets heated, and my parents low-key side with her, saying Casper is used to the house and cats are creatures of habit. I've told them they have 3 months to make their peace with the fact that Casper is coming with me. AITA. Edit. To address some frequent questions. My college was in the same city we live in, as is my job. I commuted to college from home. And no, my fiancé and I haven't been living together. The first time my dad and I took him to the vet, he was registered under my name. Until I got a job after college, I would pay his expenditures with my pocket money, and my parents would also pay. Since I've been working, I do the bulk of spending on him, but my parents do too. My sister is 17. And yes, we'll be living in the same city. She'll be seeing him often. It's the fact that my parents are siding with her, and not even just to support her, but of their own accord. They too have been saying Casper should stay here. I'll try to bring up them adopting a new cat. Comments. Comment 1. Info. At the end of the day, what's best for the cat? If Casper is your shadow when you're around and would pine without you, then the only decision is to take Casper with you. If Casper is now closer to your parents or sister, now or prefers to hang out in a certain spot in the house over and above spending time with you, then Casper should stay at the house. Does Casper ever get anxious or show signs of separation anxiety or depression when you're not at home? Like if you go away for a few days? What about if Casper gets taken away from the house, like for trips to the vet? How does Casper cope in those scenarios? Also, does your fiancé have any other animals that Casper has to acclimatize to? Has your fiancé spent much time with Casper? Is Casper comfortable with them? If you can get a clear answer from asking these questions, then this should make the decision easy. OP. Thanks a lot for this a bit begrudgingly, because you've made me rethink stuff law. I love Casper, and I know he'll be happy with me. And I know my family loves him too, and he knows he's loved. I'll think over this. Comment 2. NTA. Get your aunt to confirm Casper was a gift for you. End of issue. Casper is your property. He is attached to you, not your parents' home. He will adapt just fine to your new place as long as you are there. Your sister can get her own cat if that's what the family wants. Comment 3. Who is Casper's person? Who does he snuggle with, meow for, sleep with, etc.? We have 2 cats, and they have chosen different people in our family to be their person. Will the other house have other pets Casper has to live with? Will he have to leave any other pets that he has grown up with this whole time? All of this should go into determining if Casper's home is with you at the new place or the place he has lived his whole life. Comment 4. AmITheA. What do those people not understand about a gift? About your property? Is there a chance your aunt would weigh in on this in your favor? Cats are creatures of habit. And also clever, adaptable creatures. Last year I happily rehomed a family of 3 cats, not mine, to a new owner and different premises. It's low of your family to pretend they're worried about the cat's happiness when they just want to steal your aunt's gift. Here's a wild idea. They could get themselves a cat of their own and keep their mitts off of yours. OP. Yes, I can 100% have my aunt confirm Casper was a gift for me. She used to have a cat when I was little, and I would be so happy to go to her place when I was little to see her cat. That's why she gifted me Casper. Comment 5. If your parents don't object to getting a cat for your sister, then why not take her to an adoption center and help her pick out a kitty of her own? Make it a bonding activity between the 2 of you. Promise your sister that you'll send her weekly updates on Casper. Remind your sister that she will still get to visit both of you, so no one is going away forever. And she can do the same for her kitten cat. This is a big change in both your lives, and sis may be having trouble adjusting. How old is your sister? Right now, I think that little sis is probably feeling a bit down. You are currently the center of attention with all of the wedding planning, and now you are taking her friend. Help her make a new one. OP. My sister is 17. And yes, we'll be living in the same city. She'll be seeing him often. It's the fact that my parents are siding with her, and not even just to support her, but of their own accord. They too have been saying Casper should stay here. I'll try to bring up them adopting a new cat. Comment 6. Info: who takes the cat to the vet? OP. Any one of us do. But even with that, like back then, I researched the vaccines he'll need and which vet we should go to and took him to the vet with my dad. Now it's any one of us when it's his date for his regular shots. Update. Thank you for the feedback on my original post. I took comfort in the fact that I was well within my rights to take Casper with me and was determined to do that. A few comments, one in particular, had stressed that I should make sure to do what's best for Casper. Despite our arguments, I got the feeling my parents and sister, or my parents at least, had accepted that Casper would be coming with me. My dad had talked about how I should introduce him briefly to my fiancé's house in advance, so it seems like they had accepted it. One thing that I had been asked to consider was who this person was. While as a kitten Casper was only bonded to me, especially when my parents were still against him, he is a family cat now. He'll sometimes curl up on my bed when sleeping, sometimes on my sister's. When my mom's making food, he'll sit as a loaf next to her on the counter while she goes over the recipe with him, and as far as laps go, anyone is fair game for him. My mom will often hold him in her lap when she's watching the news and talk to him about what's happening in the news. Whenever my dad goes to the meat shop, he especially gets liver for him too, which we boil and feed him. And my sister loves dressing him up, which he does without resistance law. So I just couldn't say Casper was only bonded to me and not them. Nor could I say that I'm the only one who is bonded to him. It's a bit unfair to my fiancé. But what made me decide was when I was talking to him, and he said we could make a cat door for the cat when we move in. It's stupid to nitpick, but I can't remember the last time Casper was called the cat by us. And we don't let him out. In fact, we had called someone to make sure any holes or openings were all sealed. So I've decided to leave Casper with my family. I think it's best for him. I can't imagine how it will feel to be without him. He's my baby, and just typing this has gotten me crying. But I'll visit him every 2 days. I haven't told my family yet in case I break and change my mind, but I will tell them soon. Thank you. Comments. Comment 1. That's smart. It sounds like your fiancé's heart is in the right place. But he's still basically a stranger to Casper and vice versa. Under the circumstances, it makes sense to leave Casper in his current home with multiple beloved family members rather than have a huge disruption of a new home and a new person to get used to, especially since you and your fiancé will hopefully be spending a lot of time focusing on each other. OP. Thanks. I'm so torn between wanting him to never forget me but also not wanting him to miss me lol. But yeah, I know he's going to be safe and loved here. And that's what matters in the end. Comment 2. I think you're so kind to Casper to give in the situation that seems best in the home and with the people that are most familiar. I really hope that you get to have another kitty of your own in your new home one day. Comment 3. It might be a good idea for you and your partner to adopt a cat. I had to leave my cat at my parents' when I got married, as I was moving overseas. And while technically possible, the strain would have been too much for her. In the last 21 years, we have had 3 cats, though the first one ended up living with my in-laws, as he had bonded more with my Phil than us when we lived with them. But having a cat that belongs to your old family and a cat that belongs to your new one is probably better. Make sure you and your partner are on the same page regarding indoor-outdoor cats, though. Comment 4. Please feel at peace, knowing that Casper is in a loving home with people who are always there for him. There is a good chance that between your dad, your mom, and your sister, he will never be alone, never wondering whether he's secure. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.